Hello team, today's challenge is Nonogram Validator, and Nonogram is a special kind of puzzle where you're given clues that relate to parts of the grid that you need to color in. And when you color in enough of those grid pieces, you get a picture. For this one, we aren't doing the whole nonogram, we're just doing a single row. So we get the row pieces along with the clue, and we need to figure out if the colored in parts match up with the clue, right? If we've solved it properly, basically. Now with that, there are some bits in here. So you'll notice that 3 plus 2 is 5, right? That's easy math. And there are 5 ones in here, right? Well, this is 4 ones, but there are 5 ones in here, which is why this is false, in case you're wondering. So we need to not only test to make sure that the string is accurate, but also that that the string is accurate, right? It's kind of weird like that. We're testing to make sure that it's accurate in multiple ways, right? We're checking to make sure that we have those groups of 1 separated by 0 and that there are the right number of groups. That's the words I was looking for. My tongue tripping up on me. But here we go, okay? I know of a couple ways to do this. The first being a regular expression, okay? So we can go in here and we can start crafting a regular expression. Let's call it RE string, just like this. And we are going to operate on the clue, okay? We're going to turn the clue into our regular expression and then run cells through it to see if it's true or false, okay? So with that clue, we map, okay? And we map on the value, which we send in, and we have 2 options here, okay? We could go one.repeat the value times, or we could just create that string directly, okay? And that's what I like to do here. So I'm going to go just like this. I'm going to send in value. And what this is saying is that whatever value is, let's take an example of 5, right? So value is 5 and we have 1. Oh, I actually did this wrong. I need this to be in brackets as well. So 1 curly brackets 5, okay? Because this gets replaced. Jumping around, everything jumping around. It's just not playing nice, doing stuff, okay? There we go, okay? So it'll get replaced to this. 1 curly brace is 5. And what that's saying is that I want exactly 5 ones, okay? So hopefully that's making sense. I'm going to back this out, get that in there. Excellent. And then we join it up, okay? And what are we joining up? Well, we need to make sure that there's at least 1 0, okay? And we do that by adding in 0 plus, okay? The plus sign here says 1 or more zeros. So that's the first part of our string, right? Now you might think that that would be enough, but it isn't because of that test 3. That test 3 where we have 4 ones here, but 5 ones here. Okay, we need to take care of that, which means that we need a little bit more, okay? And for me, that little bit more is to wrap it up, to test the whole string, okay? So we go new regexp, spelling it right, and sending in our value. So again, we're going to build this out. Dollar curly braces, RE string, just like this. And then we go back to the start and we start the string. So we're testing the whole string, okay? There are 0 or more zeros, right? Which is what the star does, the asterisk, that's 0 or more. So 0 or more zeros here, followed by our regular expression string, followed by 0 or more zeros, followed by the end, okay? You'll notice that the end, that $ is red. That's because we're in a template literal. We can escape that to silence the noise, okay? So with that, we can test it. Down in here, we go re.test, doing it right, re.test, sending in cells, but cells is an array, so we need to join. And what are we joining on? Well, it's going to be empty, and it works, right? It works great. Not a problem. We've built out the exact pattern that we need using these 2 variables. And then we pass cells in as a string to test it, right? And if it works, great. If it doesn't, it fails. And that's what we want, okay? The other option here is to use a pipeline, okay? So if I clear out that message, I want that to come back. So I'm just going to bounce around in the tabs. But inside of here, we can return. What are we returning? Well, this time we're going to operate on the cells, okay? And so for the cells, we are going to first join. Okay, and this is a little bit weird, but we're going to join on emptiness and then split again on the zeros. Okay, on the zeros as a string, right? So just like that. Excellent. That's going to put it all together and then return only the numbers or empty strings. That's what we have here. So we have this array of number ones, right? Not numbers, but number ones, because that's what we're doing, or empty strings. Well, we can get rid of the empty strings using a filter, just like this. So continuing the pipeline, capital B, Boolean, just like this. And then the last step is dot every, right? So testing everything. What are we testing? Well, we're going to test the run and the index because we need to be able to reference clue, right? And so inside of here, we go run.length, just like this. We want it to equal clue I, okay? At which point, again, it works. There is a little bit of a catch in here, though, okay? We've only tested one way. So while if run.length is greater than clue, right, then this will be undefined, which means that this is false, which means that every fails, and it works its way back up the chain. But what happens if clues are longer than run, right? We haven't accounted for that. And so we need something more, okay? And that something more is just breaking it apart a little bit. So right here, we can take this, we can turn it into runs, right? So grabbing all of that, and then we're going to move the every down and return something else. Okay, what are we going to return? Well, first thing that we're going to return is we're going to return to see if runs.length is equal to clue.length. That should be a pretty good indication, right? Because if we've cleared out all of the useless data, we just have groups of ones, which means that those groups of ones should be the same length as the clue, right? Whatever the clue is. So we can do that. That is right down here. If it would stop jumping around, we're going to go runs.length equals clue.length, right? So that's the first one. And then here we drop back down and we go runs.every, okay? And again, everything works. It works great. We can indent this a little bit to clean it up, just like this. But this gets it done, okay? And I'm sure that there are, we could probably write a test up here to check things or exit early. We can do all that stuff. But both these really lock it in. So today, we did two different ways. We did regular expressions, right? And we did a pipeline. For the regular expressions, we had to build it all out. So we did a bit of a map here to generate some strings. Then we joined on some more strings. Then we build out this really long string with all that information. And then we tested, right? And it works. Down here, we used a pipeline. So we took our cells, we joined, then we split. Then we filtered on Booleans to get rid of all of our falsy values. Falsy values are any extra zeros that we might have messed. I'm not sure why they would be in there, or empty strings, or false, right? The actual keyword false. So any falsy values just go away, and then we test it and test it, right? The first one being to test to make sure that the two lengths are equal, and the second one to test if the values of those different pieces are equal, right? That's the whole thing. Again, I'm not sure which one I like more, right? I like the idea of pipelines, but I also really like regular expressions. So I'm kind of on the fence about which one I like more. You let me know in the comments. What do you like more? Do you like the regular expressions? Do you like the pipeline? Did you go a different way? All that good stuff. Again, not every solution, just hopefully two good solutions today. And for today, that has been pretty much it for Nonogram Validator, and I will see you tomorrow.